Hello, programming students. I apologize that I cannot be there with you today. I had a sick child, and so I had to stay home today, and I am very sad that I'm not there with you. So instead, I'm recording this video of the PowerPoint presentation that we were going to talk about in class today. This is going to introduce to you your next assignment in Alice, so you're going to want to make sure you're really listening. First of all, in terms of learning to program, I think our experience so far with programming might equate what we're doing to maybe being complicated enough that we could say, hey, we're almost learning to fly an airplane, right? There's a lot going on. We have had to figure out maybe how we're going to take off. We have to navigate. We have to figure out how to communicate. And then we would have to land, although I might suggest that given the amount of controls and the amount of different things that you can do in Alice, it might be more complicated than learning to fly. It might be as hard as learning to fly a spaceship, not an airplane, because there truly is a lot going on. So in terms of the tools we're using, remember, we're using our computer, and we're also using a specific programming language. And the language we have been using is... This is the part where you fill in the blank, and I know you know the answer. It starts with the letter J. So we are particularly using Java, and what we want to start to focus on is that every time we're sitting down to generate a program, we really are looking at a task that is a problem that we need to solve. And so we end up with a problem, and then we need to execute the solution. But while we're executing our solution, we spend some time debugging, trying to figure out what exactly is happening with our program. And then occasionally we experience what this poor guy right here is experiencing, which is frustration. And the reality is we do have some frustration when we're programming, and that's just a natural part of the process. And the best programmers don't let that frustration get in the way of accomplishing their goals. They either take a quick break, they collaborate with someone, and then they get back to trying to solve their problem. So some quick review, refresh. What is a computer program? And just that reminder that a program is simply a sequence of instructions, and it tells the computer what we want it to do. That is our computer program, and we go ahead then and include information in our computer program to tell another human being what it is we want the computer to do. And that would be the comments that we include in our programming language code. Okay, so we want to remember that programs can be written for a couple different kinds of tasks, and that these tasks aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. We want to refresh our minds. What does it mean for something to be mutually exclusive? And the reality is, when we're looking at the kinds of things that we write programs for, solving a problem, creating simulations, creating games, maybe doing some animation, we might have multiple reasons why we're writing a program. It doesn't have to be just one of the options available. It might be a simulation that also solves a problem. So what are statements? All right, so again, we're back a little bit to the vocabulary so that we're all talking the same language. A statement is just that written set of instructions, and there are three basic kinds of statements. We want to pay attention here. We have the action that needs to be performed, and the action is what's executed when the program runs. So when you actually click the run button in Alice, that's the action. Our control then determines the sequence in which the actions are performed, as in do this first, do this second, do this third. And then finally, we have the comments that are included in our programming code, and this just documents who wrote the program and what is it that the program is intended to do. As a reminder and a refresh for everyone, comments are the things that students struggle with the most, and you don't want to forget those comments. All right, so unfortunately today, I am not at school, and so I cannot run this card exercise program in Alice. But what I can tell you is that this card right here touches his toes, and this card right here does jumping jacks. And all of you are going to be creating a program today where you're going to use some card characters, and you're going to have these cards do two different things. This card, again, is going to touch his toes, and this card right here is going to do jumping jacks. And that is going to be your task for the day today. Let me give you a little bit of additional information. First of all, we want to remember that in Alice, there are all these built-in procedures or actions. Things like moving or turning or rolling or even a turn to face. There's lots, that's in here in terms of procedures. Sorry, I didn't mean to scroll there. And you can see card 1, say and think, move, move toward, move away from, move to, place, turn, roll, turn to plate. You can see all of the procedures that are going to be available to you. Then we also have some user-defined actions, and you're going to be able to define your own actions for some of the objects. And here you are going to see something like a jumping jack or a touch toes. And so you can go ahead then and develop a procedure that is your own action for these. All right, so the two things that you're going to want to do today with your program is you're going to want to do a control or an action that is happening in sequence. So you're going to want to have one of the cards touch its toes and then pause, and then the other card is going to go ahead and do its jumping jacks. So you're going to create a program where the statements are executed in sequence or one after the other. And the characters that you have here should talk to each other. So go ahead and have them say something like, now I'm going to touch my toes, or now I'm going to do my jumping jacks. Don't forget, at the very beginning, you would put your comments in. And then every time you go ahead and do a element in your program, you want to make sure that you introduce the comments. So here you can see these are the statements that are going to be executed in sequence, one after the other, and then you'll have jumping jack and touching toes. And then you want your cards to do their actions simultaneously or at the same time. And you can see the do together here is that the instructions are going simultaneously, jumping jacks and touching toes. You want to have the jumping jacks or touching toes happen several times, so not just once, but multiple times within your program. And just because I want to make sure we're clear about doing together, doing things together is sort of a thread that you want to be keeping track of. So the analogy might be a track, and if you have one runner on the track, it's doing its activity. If you have two runners on the track and they're both running simultaneously, that's a thread now, and you can see how you have those two runners going at the same time. Okay, comments. Do not forget to write your comments, please. Remember, you're always going to include your name before and then today's date. And then this program right here, you're going to say, we're going to demonstrate sequential and simultaneous execution of statements. You're going to use exercising playing cards. It doesn't matter to me which playing card you select, but you do need to use playing cards today. Somebody asked me Friday, if they could use the Jack playing card to do the jumping jacks. That would be fine with me. Don't forget, though, you want to make sure to include all of the correct comments in your program. When you have today to write this program, when you finish today, you should record your program using Screencastify or Screencast-O-Matic, and you should put that in the folder for class. If you're concerned because you do not get your program done today and you need to be able to get in and get some time in during resource, just go ahead and shoot me an email and I'll request you for resource tomorrow and you can get some additional time in class. If you need anything, please do not hesitate to email me, and happy working!